Song of the Chirimia, a Guatemalan folktale, retold and illustrated by Jane Ann Volkmer. Translated by Lori Ann Schatzschneider. By Carol Rhoda Books, Inc., copyright 1990. On the night of the 20th full moon of clear skies, kingly reign, a child was born to him. Under the moon's bright light he stood motionless, gazing at the baby girl in his servant's arms. I shall name my daughter Moonlight, Clear Sky declared, to honor the light in which I first saw her. The child was all the king had now. His beloved queen had died at Moonlight's birth. As Moonlight grew, Clear Sky's love for her deepened. Some days he would take her out on a boat on a nearby lake. They would watch the fishermen throw their nets into the clear blue waters. Patiently, the two would wait until the men lifted the nets wriggling with fish. Other days, the two would walk through the marketplace to see the merchants' displays. Moonlight's eyes reflected the sun's sparkle on gold necklaces. Her voice had the softness and warmth of woven cloth. As she talked gaily to Clear Sky, she danced past the displays, breathing the fragrance of cacao beans. But one day, the happiness ended. Moonlight sat on the palace steps, staring at the ground, not caring what could be seen at the market or how many fish were netted. She would not talk to anyone, not even her father. She wanted to be alone. Her father tried to bring back her laughter and chatter. He gave her glistening jade beads from the highlands. He had his hunters bring exotic birds to her from the jungle. He called the best ball players in the kingdom to play in the ball court before her. But Moonlight remained silent. Clear Sky could not sleep. He told his counselors, "My grieving will not end until I see a smile on Moonlight's face." Clear Sky summoned governors, priests, and scribes to his chambers to ponder this problem of gloom. The learned men sat quietly for many hours, trying to think of a solution. Finally, a scribe who recorded marriages in his village broke the silence. "Moonlight has become a young woman. It is the time of her life to marry. When she marries, her sorrow will leave." "She shall be married," proclaimed the king. Clear Sky ordered all the young unmarried men in the kingdom to come to the central plaza on the day of the 224th full moon of his rule. On this day, Moonlight could choose her husband. As ordered, the suitors arrived at the palace on the day of the full moon. Many brought expensive gifts of jade, pottery, gold, and birds. Handsome men, strong men, knowledgeable men all stood waiting. Each paraded before Moonlight in elegant clothing and spoke to her of his best qualities. But she did not smile. She did not even listen. As the sun lowered, the faint sounds of a song drifted through the crowd. On the path leading to the plaza, a man walked. He had no gifts. He carried no weapons. His clothes were not elegant. He was singing a joyful song. The evening breeze captured his low, sweet voice and carried it to Moonlight's ears. Smiling, she lifted her head to hear the song better. "Tell that young man to come into my chambers," the king commanded. The dark-haired singer was brought before the king. He stood tall and slender before Clear Sky and Moonlight. "What is your name?" Clear Sky asked. "I am called Black Feather," he replied. "Black Feather, you have brought pleasure to my daughter. If she wishes, you may marry her." Moonlight smiled at Black Feather. "Your voice is clear, and your song more pure than any I have ever heard," she said. "But I still prefer to listen to the harmony of singing birds. If you can make your song and your voice become one as the birds do, I shall marry you." "I will learn to sing like the birds," he said, "but it will take me some time. Will you grant me time to learn?" "How much time will you need?" she asked. "3 full moons," he answered. "I shall listen for your return." With love in his heart, Black Feather left the king's chambers. He hurried down the palace steps. A large cluster of ceiba trees at the plaza's edge rustled for him to come to them. A small opening between the trees led to a path. This path would take him far into the woods, where it was said that the birds never stopped singing. Black Feather disappeared down the steep and narrow path. He walked through the darkness till he could go no farther. Black Feather lay on the ground and fell asleep. At dawn, Black Feather woke to the sound of singing birds. He listened intently. Morning, noon, and evening, Black Feather tried his best to sing as sweetly as they did, but he could not. 2 full moons passed, and Black Feather grew weary from trying. Alone in the woods, Black Feather thought he would never be able to return to moonlight. Suddenly, leaves started falling around him, and the wind blew cold and moist. Startled, Black Feather looked up. Like a large tree bent in the wind, the great spirit of the woods floated above him. "Why do you look so sad?" whispered the great spirit. With much dismay, Black Feather told the spirit his story. "I know a way for your voice and your song to join in harmony so you can sing like a bird," crackled the great spirit. "But you must do as I tell you. First, cut a branch from that tree." Black Feather took his knife and cut the branch. He handed it to the great spirit. Howling, the spirit flew into a tree top, setting it ablaze. The spirit roared and hissed as he transformed the branch into a long hollow pipe with holes on one side. The flames vanished and the spirit drifted slowly back to Black Feather. The great spirit gave the pipe to the young man, saying, "What you hold in your hands is called a Chirimia, and its song is more pleasing to the ear than that of the birds. Learn to play it well, and when the princess hears the Chirimia's song, she will marry you." Black Feather stared at the pipe. "Take it to your lips and blow through it," the spirit commanded. "Move your fingers along the holes and listen." Then the great spirit swirled into a spiral of blue-gray smoke and disappeared into the pipe. Black Feather put his lips to the Chirimia and blew. A remarkable sound filled the air, a sound so melodious that even the birds stopped their singing. Black Feather practiced playing on the pipe all day long. The sounds became clearer and purer with every note he played. Many days passed, and the time came for Black Feather to return. As he walked swiftly through the woods, Black Feather held tightly onto the pipe. When he neared the small opening in the ceiba trees, he put the Chirimia to his lips and began to play a song from his heart. The melody brought the princess out of the palace to listen. Her eyes fell upon Black Feather, and she exclaimed, "Your song is lovelier than those of the birds." On that night, the 227th full moon of Clear Sky's reign, Moonlight and Black Feather married. Under the moon's bright light, Clear Sky stood motionless, listening to the song of the Chirimia while Moonlight danced in the plaza below. Today, if you travel to Guatemala, you may hear music sweeter than that of any bird lilting in the wind. If you ask what it is you hear, the reply will be, "It is the song of the Chirimia, the most harmonious song in the woods." Author's note. Dear reader, when I first heard the legend of the Chirimia, I wanted to share it with as many people as possible. It is a story that has been told for generations in the country of Guatemala. Each year, hundreds of people from around the world travel to Guatemala to visit the ruins of ancient Mayan cities. I often go there myself, and every time I try to imagine what it was like over 2,000 years ago when Mayan kings and queens ruled. It's not hard to picture what they look like because the Maya left behind stone carvings of themselves. Many of this book's characters were drawn from these carvings. I hope you enjoy this story and will want to learn more about Guatemala, the people, the music, and the history. I believe that through books we can all become world travelers. Sincerely, Jane Ann